What's going on, guys? It's Glenn here, back to you again with another video here of Ion Silver. So last week's video was pretty good. I did two videos, well actually the last couple weeks I did two videos about vampires. And today I'm actually going to do something a little bit different. Today we're going to be talking about two real-life mad scientists. I'm a little bit pressed for time, so I'm going to try to keep this one pretty short. If I can't have time to cover both, I will definitely make a part 2 of these two mad scientists. So these two mad scientists, there was more of them, but this was actually the inspiration to the book Frankenstein, written by Mary Shelley back in 1818. And this took place in the 1800s, and during the 1800s, there was a time of a lot of big changes, a lot of radical movements. The Industrial Revolution was happening. Coca-Cola was actually starting to come out on the market. The trains were starting to get in development. The American Civil War was starting to break out. So there was a lot of big changes going on in the 1800s, and along with that, there was also quite a lot of changes to science and the medical field and the way things were being performed. So I have two scientists that I'm going to be talking about. One is actually one's from the 1700s, and the other one is from the 1800s, the 1850s. So these two mad scientists, one guy's name is Johann Conrad Dippel. He was a German scientist from Wehrmacht, Germany. And the other one is named Andrew and I actually did a project about him when I was in college, but that's beside the point. He was a Scottish scientist, and he was very fascinated with electricity and with lightning. So I'm going to start with Conrad Dippel. So Conrad Dippel was born on August 10th, 1673, and he died on April 10th. Oh, I think I actually might have gotten that wrong. He died in April in 1734. So, so these two were the inspiration for Mary Shelley's novel. So Conrad Dippel first started his career as a priest, but he actually got into some legal trouble with the church. He started his career as a priest. He stepped down, and one of the things he got in trouble for was he was publishing books that went against the teachings of the Catholic Church. And so he was actually sentenced to 7 years in prison for doing that. So he gets out of prison and he ends up becoming a scientist. He was a very free thinker, and he was actually considered one of the most evil scientists of his time. More so because he would actually go out into the cemetery. Oh, actually, one thing I actually forgot to bring up. He actually lived in a castle called Castle Frankenstein, and it was owned by an actual Frankenstein family. He was not related to the Frankenstein family, but he lived in the castle where he performed his experiments. I also believe he was born in that cemetery as well. So he was born in Castle Frankenstein, and he stole bodies. He would rob graves. He would dig up the graves and perform experiments on the dead bodies. And he also created this thing called Dippel's oil, which what he called an elixir of life. It didn't actually prolong life, but it actually did work quite a while as a muscle stimulant, and it was used up until the 19th century. Yeah, he would rob graves from the church, and he would perform experiments on the dead bodies. And his concoction, his elixir of life, known as Dippel's oil, that's what he called it. It was a mixture of animal bones, blood, carcasses, and also rumored to be made of human carcasses as well. And he also kept it in distilled iron tubes. So he is actually the one who's more closely linked to the Frankenstein story, and had great inspiration of the Frankenstein novel written by Mary Shelley. So this next person I'm going to talk about was named Andrew and like I said, he was from Scotland, and he moved to London at some point during his career. So Andrew was born on May 18th, 1778, 3 years or so after the American Revolution. And he died on January 2nd, 1857. So he performed experiments on the bodies of dead criminals. And this one experiment that he performed, he actually published in a book, and he actually talked about it. And Mary Shelley was aware of what was happening with this particular person. So there was a criminal that got executed. His name was Matthew Clydesdale. He was executed for killing a 72-year-old man. He was drunk out of his mind, didn't know what he was doing, and by mistake, he accidentally killed a 72-year-old man. So he was executed for it. And so Andrew got a hold of the body. I'm not entirely sure how he got a hold of the dead body, but he took the body to his laboratory. He put it on a table. He had a whole bunch of spectators in the room watching this. And one of the things that he did was he cut a few incisions into the body, and into his feet, his hands, and just basically different joints around the body. He took probes, if you don't know what they are, they're these, how can I describe them? So they're kind of like bars, and they have like metal, these metal balls at the end of them. So he would take a couple of those, he would charge them with electricity with a machine. It's kind of hard for me to describe, but he would take an electrical machine, he would charge it up with electricity, and he would place it in certain parts of the dead man's body, and the body parts would move. Like he placed one on the guy's chest and got the heart and the lungs back up and running again. And another thing that he also did too was he would take it and attach it to the arms. And there was this one point during the experiment where Matthew Clydesdale's body made kind of gestures like somebody playing the violin. He would also take another probe, attach it to the man's forehead, and his face would make a whole bunch of gestures, almost like he was like actually trying to speak. And this last thing I'm also gonna say, he took the probe and tapped the victim's finger with the probe, and his arm lifted up like this and pointed to a whole bunch of people that was in the room. And one of them actually passed out. So, but those are the two real mad scientists that I wanted to talk about. I've actually been wanting to do a video like this for quite a while, but it actually kind of took a little bit of digging and stuff like that to actually find the information. So, before I actually end the video, I actually want to show you guys something. Okay, so where I got my information, I actually got them from a few different YouTube videos, but there's actually this series of documentaries that I actually found this type of information. It's this Haunted Histories collection, and it's done by the History Channel. I got this years ago at FYE, and it was about $7.99, so it was actually a pretty good deal. But the documentary where I found this information from I found it from other places too. I'll have my sources linked down below in the description. But there was this documentary that I got it from in search for the real Frankenstein. I don't know if you guys can read that. But yeah, this is where I got the information from. So anyway, guys, that's gonna wrap up this video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll be back with another video as soon as I can. And until next time, stay ready, stay focused, stay strong.